This video I was originally going to do back in August of 2019, but I ended up not doing it because I was too busy, and more importantly, it was better to wait. For a topic like this, it would be better for the 100th season to end and have the 2019 season end. So here is the top 10 NFL teams of all time by point differentials. But there are some caveats, even though I said all time. You can't really be honest with how the league has changed over 100 years to say what's a good team or not. So here are the caveats. This only will include teams that played under 16-game schedule, so 1978 to 2019 as of this video. None of the teams beforehand, because, let's be honest, those teams are really unfair with the two less games or more too. And of course, if you go all the way back to like the 20s and 30s, where teams would have unlimited number of games, they might play a shit ton of games, more than they play in real life. They might play very little games, and because of the non-parity, they would be largely blowouts. If I looked up all the previous teams back then, I could probably have a couple of them on this list, even though they only played like 5 games maybe, or something like that. So yeah, to make it fair, it's only going to be 1978 onward. And as for the best teams, I think, because there's many ways you could decide. Who won the Super Bowl? Who had the best record in the league? But to me, in my opinion, the only way you can really tell how good an elite a team is by their point differential. How much points they scored? How many did they allow? What's their point differential? If you have a massive point differential, then you really have to be a very good team. I mean, yeah, you can have a good offense, but if you have a shitty defense, you're going to allow a lot of points. Likewise, if you have a very good defense, if you have a terrible offense, you're not going to score a lot of points. But if you can get a very good point differential, then you have to be up there as one of the best offenses and defenses, and in my eyes, all around the best team in the league, or that season at least. So now, let's get into the top 10. So starting off, number 10, the 2012 Patriots, who, remember, came off the Super Bowl loss to the Giants in 2011. They responded by going 12-4, which is a regression from the previous year. But they scored 557 points, and they allowed 331 for a point differential of 226. They had the number 1 offense of 2012, the ninth best defense, which is actually the worst ranking of anyone in this league, and of this top 10. And the results, they were number 1 once again in the AFC East, and they had the number 2 seed in the playoffs. They are the only team on this list that did not get a home field advantage. After buying the wild card, they would destroy the Texans 41-28, but then they would go on to lose to the Ravens 28-13, who would go on, of course, to win the Super Bowl. Number 9, the 2001 Rams. After going 10-6 the previous year trying to defend their title, they did a massive free agency and retooling the defense, and they once again, for the 3rd year in a row, had the number 1 offense in the league, scoring 503 points. And their defense massively improved as they allowed 273 points for a point differential of 230. The number 1 offense in the league and the 7th best defense, which of course was just enough for them to go 14-2. They were number 1 in the NFC West, and they got home field advantage. After their bye, they would destroy the Packers 45-17. Then they would barely beat the Eagles in the conference championship 29-24 to make it back to the Super Bowl, where they would be the first team to suffer a loss to the soon dynasty Patriots 20-17. Number 8, the 1996 Packers, as they went 13-3 that year, finally having the eliteness of Brett Favre finally coming through. And this was an awesome team. Take a look at this. They scored 456 points, allowed 210 points with a point differential of 246, but they had the number 1 offense and defense that year. The only team on this list to do that. And honestly, they are the only team that I know off the top of my head in the last maybe 50 years plus that did that. But they won the NFC Central, got the home field advantage, and after buying the wild card division, They destroyed the 49ers 35-14. They would then destroy the Panthers 30-13, where they would go on to spank the Patriots in the Super Bowl 35-24. Now, number 7, the 1984 49ers. After falling short of making it to the Super Bowl in 1983, they bounced back. They would go 15-1, which at the time was the best record ever in the NFL in the 16-game schedule. They were the first team to win 15 games, scoring 475 points, allowing 227 with a point differential of 248. The second best offense, but the number 1 defense in the league, as they won the NFC West and had home field advantage. After the bye in the divisional round, they beat the Giants 21-10. They would then shut out the Bears 23-0, and they would go on to destroy the Dolphins 38-16 to win another title. Number 6, the 2019 Ravens. And this is a good reason why I did not do this video until the season ended. It's perfect because we have a new entry on this list. How about that? After going 10-6 the previous year, make it back to the playoffs, out of nowhere, fucking 14-2. The best record, not only in the league, but the best record in Ravens history. 531 points scored, 282 allowed for a point differential of 249. The number 1 offense in the league, which was the first time ever the Ravens had it. The third best defense. They won the NFC North and they had home field advantage for the first time ever. But unfortunately, oh god, it still hurts 2 months later, they would get destroyed by the Titans 28-12, being the only team on this list to not even win a playoff game. Yikes, yeah, 2 months later almost, it still hurts me to this day just remembering that. Now, number 5, the 1985 Bears. As the 49ers the previous year just shut them out in the conference championship, they responded back by themselves going 15-1 just like the 49ers did the previous year. As they had scored 456 points, they allowed 198, which is the lowest on this list. They had a point differential of 258. The second best offense, but the number 1 defense of 1985. Won the NFC Central, and they got home field advantage after the bye. They shut out the Giants 21-0. They would then shut out the Rams 24-0 in the conference championship, and then they would destroy the Patriots 46-10 to win their first title since 1963, allowing just 10 points in 3 playoff games. Incredible. Number 4, the 1998 Vikings. After being really 500 for next previous 5 plus years, they finally broke through with a record-breaking offense, especially with rookie Randy Moss, scoring 556 points, which at the time was the best offensive scoring ever until the 2007 Patriots. They allowed 296 points for a point differential of 260. The number 1 offense in the league and the 6th best defense. Won the NFC Central and got home field advantage. Wild card bye, divisional, they would smoke the Cardinals 41-21, but in the conference championship they would lose to the Falcons in overtime 30-27, the only team that had an overtime game in this series. Now, number 3, the 1991 Redskins. After making the playoffs the previous year in 1990, they responded massively in 1991 with the number 1 offense in the league, going 14-2, start off 11-0-2, scoring 485 points, allowing 224 with a point differential of 261. Number 1 offense in the league, the 2nd best defense, won the NFC East, got home field advantage. In the divisional round, they would beat the Falcons 24-7. Then they would destroy the Lions 41-10 in the conference championship. And then they would beat the Bills 37-24 in the Bills' second Super Bowl loss, as the Redskins would win their first title since 1987. Number 2, the 1999 Rams. As, oh my god, when the team first moved to St. Louis in 1995, they regressed every single year. 7 wins in 1995, 6 in 1996, 5 in 1997, and finally 4 wins in 1998. Out of nowhere, with Kurt Warner, Troy Holt, Isaac Bruce, Marshall Faulk, the Rams explode out of nowhere, winning more games than they did in the last bunch of years combined. The number 1 offense in the league, scoring 526 points and allowing just 242 with a point differential of 284. Number 1 offense in the league and the 4th best defense. They won the NFC West and they got home field advantage. After their bye, they would beat the Vikings in a blowout, 49-37. It was a blowout too at one point. Then the conference championship, they barely beat the Buccaneers in a defensive struggle 11-6. And then they would go on to hold on to beat the Titans 23-16 to win their first title since 1951. But now, who is the number one team in terms of point differential in the NFL's history? Here we go. Number one, and the team with the best point differential in the NFL is the 2007 Patriots. After just falling short to making the Super Bowl by the Colts the previous year, the Patriots out of nowhere went 16-0, undefeated, joining the 1972 Dolphins undefeated, and they were the first team and still only team to this day to go 16-0 in 16-game schedule. They scored 589 points, which at the time beat the 1998 Vikings as the best offense of all time, being edged out by the 2013 Broncos 6 years later, and they are the second best offense all time overall, and they allowed 274 points with an unbelievable 315 point differential. Nowhere close has anyone come to that. Number one offense in the league, the fourth best defense. They won the NFC East and they got home field advantage. In the wild card, they held on to beat the Jaguars 31-20. And in the conference championship, they beat the Chargers really badly too, 21-12, before they would go on to lose to the Giants 17-14 in the Super Bowl, preventing them from going undefeated all the way. And that, when it comes to a 16-game schedule, and by point differential, is the top 10 all-time greatest teams in the NFL history. Now, here's some interesting stats as we look them up again. 2012 Patriots, 2001 Rams, 1996 Packers, 1984 49ers, 2019 Ravens, 1985 Bears, 1985 Bears, 1998 Vikings, 1991 Redskins, 1999 Rams, and 2007 Patriots. All of these teams, except for two, the 1984 49ers and the 1985 Bears, all of them had the number one offense in the league. And only three of these teams, the 1996 Packers, 1984 49ers, and 1985 Bears, had the number one defense. So, all the teams, almost all of them, had at least the number one or second best offense in the league. The worst offense was, of course, the 84 49ers, 85 Bears, who had the second best offense in the league. And defensively, wow, not really that good in comparison. Hell, the top number 10 best team, the 2007 Patriots, they had the 9th best defense in the league. That's the lowest on this rank. And then the 2001 Rams were 7th best. 1998 Vikings were 6th. So yeah, that's obviously, when you get, in order to get into the top 10, you have to have at least the number 1 or 2 offense. Having a really good defense is awesome, but just not as important as the offense. So that's an interesting stat to talk about. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and who knows, maybe in the future, maybe we'll finally see a new team get on this list. I mean, after all, we just saw the 2019 Ravens get into the top 10. Maybe someone in 2020 will beat the 2012 Patriots and get on this list. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So we'll see what happens in the future.